Let's boost your English skills.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Boost English podcast. I'm Olivia, your host. I'm so glad you could join us today. Here on this channel, we practice English by listening to conversations on different topics. Today, I have someone very special with me. Let's jump right in.
Hey, Olivia, thanks for inviting me. I've been following your podcast for a while, and I'm excited to be here.
That's great to hear, Billy. Before we dive into our main topic, how are you doing these days? Everything going well in your life?
Yeah, things are good. I've been busy with work, but I'm also trying to learn some new skills. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been a hectic week, but I'm always happy when I get to share useful English tips with our listeners. By the way, did you watch any good shows recently?
I did. I started watching a new comedy series last weekend. It's hilarious. The jokes are simple, but they really make my day.
Oh, I love a good comedy. Sometimes laughter is the best medicine, right?
Definitely. A few funny episodes can really turn a bad day into something bright.
True. All right, let's move on to our topic for today. How to be confident in yourself. We'll share 3 specific tips to help everyone boost their self-esteem. Ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Fantastic. The first tip is about setting realistic goals. Often people lose confidence because they set huge targets and then feel upset when they can't reach them.
Yes, that's so common. People might say, I'm going to be perfect at everything in a week. And then they feel bad when they fail.
Exactly. A better way is to break down big goals into small steps. For example, if you want to run a marathon, start by running a little every day rather than trying the full distance right away.
That's a good example. When you achieve small goals, you gain that boost of confidence from success, and it pushes you forward.
Right. So if you want to improve your English, set mini targets like learning 5 new words a day or spending 10 minutes each day reading an article.
Yes, and by achieving these little milestones, you realize you can do more than you initially believed.
Exactly. Let's move to the second tip. Practice positive self-talk. This means changing how you talk to yourself in your mind.
Yes, that one is huge. Often we beat ourselves up mentally. We say negative things like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this.
Right. So replacing those thoughts with something encouraging really helps. Something like, I'm doing my best, or I can learn from my mistakes and grow.
I used to have a bad habit of negative self-talk. I'd say, why even bother? Or, I'll never get it right. But once I changed that, I found I was more motivated.
Exactly. This change doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, your brain starts to believe the positive messages.
Totally. It might feel odd at first, but keep at it. Soon you'll see it's easier to stay confident.
Exactly. Now for our third tip, surround yourself with supportive people. We often underestimate how much our environment affects our confidence.
So true. If you're always around people who criticize or mock you, it's hard to feel good about yourself.
Right. It doesn't mean we should avoid all criticism, but constant negativity isn't healthy.
Yes, finding a supportive friend, mentor, or even an online community can make a huge difference.
Indeed. People who cheer you on help you believe in yourself. It's easier to take risks and try new things when you know someone has your back.
That's correct. And sometimes we can't choose our environment completely, like at work or school, but we can still choose how we respond to negativity.
Exactly. For instance, if someone is always putting you down, you can distance yourself or explain how their words affect you.
Yes, communication is important. Sometimes people don't realize how hurtful they're being.
Right? And if they do realize but refuse to change, it might be best to limit how much time you spend with them.
Makes sense. Life's too short to be around people who constantly crush your confidence.
Absolutely. To summarize our 3 tips for building confidence, set realistic goals with small steps, practice positive self-talk, and surround yourself with supportive people.
That's a solid set of tips. I think many listeners will find them useful.
Great. Now, Billy, I'd like to hear your personal experience. Which of these tips helped you the most in your own journey?
For me, positive self-talk was the biggest game changer. I used to say terrible things to myself, which really held me back.
I can relate. I used to do that too. How did you start switching your inner voice to something more positive?
I made a list of uplifting phrases. Each morning I'd read them out loud. It felt silly, but after a few weeks I noticed I was less anxious and more ready to try new things.
That's fantastic. I love that idea. Personally, I focused on finding supportive friends. I used to hang out with people who were negative about everything.
Right, that can really drag you down. Did it take you a while to find a better circle?
Yes, it took time. I joined a local club for people interested in personal development. I made some good friends there, and it was refreshing to be around optimistic people.
That's a smart move. Sometimes finding a group that shares your goals or passions is a perfect way to meet more positive folks.
Absolutely. Now, Billy, let's see if we can give a practical example. Suppose someone wants to become more confident in speaking English in public. How might they apply these tips?
Sure, first they can set a small goal, speak for 1 minute in front of a friend, or record themselves talking for 30 seconds. That's step one.
That's a good starting point. Then how about the self-talk part?
They can remind themselves, I'm improving every day, or I can speak clearly and learn from mistakes before they start speaking.
Yes, that positive mental preparation is great. And what about the third tip, supportive people?
They can join an English club or a language exchange group where others encourage them. That way, each time they speak, they get uplifting feedback, not just harsh criticism.
Exactly. And each of those steps, taken gradually, builds real confidence.
Yes, confidence doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It just means you believe you can handle whatever comes your way.
I love that definition. So, Billy, do you have any funny stories related to building confidence? Maybe a time when you tried something new and it went not as planned?
Oh, I have plenty of those. One time I signed up for a local singing competition. I was so nervous that I forgot half the lyrics on stage.
Oh my goodness. Really? How did you deal with that?
I just kept going, humming the melody. The audience realized I messed up, but they started clapping to support me.
That's amazing. So the audience was actually supportive.
Exactly, I walked off stage thinking, hey, that wasn't so bad. Even though I forgot the words, nobody booed or threw tomatoes.
That's a classic example. Sometimes our fear is bigger than the actual situation, right?
Right, and that experience taught me that failure isn't the end. It's just a step in learning.
I love that perspective. Failure can actually help you become more confident if you learn from it.
Definitely. So I'd encourage everyone listening, go try something that scares you a bit. You might mess up, but you'll be okay and you'll gain courage.
Yes, well said. Now, why don't we shift gears and talk about some of the words or phrases we use today? That way, our listeners can learn more vocabulary.
Great idea. So let's start with self-esteem. What does that mean, and how would you explain it simply?
Self-esteem means how much you value yourself or how you see your own worth. If someone has high self-esteem, they feel good about who they are.
Exactly. Next word, uplifting. We said uplifting phrases or feedback. It means something that boosts your mood or makes you feel more positive, right?
Right. If a comment is uplifting, it lifts your spirits. It's encouraging and motivating.
Yes. Another phrase we mentioned was beat ourselves up. That means to criticize or blame ourselves too harshly.
Exactly. Instead of criticizing yourself, you should be kinder. That helps with confidence.
Next, we used surround yourself with supportive people. Supportive means people who encourage you, help you, and want to see you succeed.
Correct. And mock you came up too. To mock someone is to make fun of them in a mean or hurtful way.
Yes. Another term was environment. In this context, it means the people and situations you're in on a daily basis.
Right? Now, what about realistic goals? Realistic means something you can achieve based on your current situation, right?
Exactly. Setting realistic goals keeps you from feeling frustrated.
We also said personal development. That refers to activities or strategies that help you grow mentally or emotionally, improving your skills or outlook.
Yes. It's about bettering yourself in various areas of life, like learning new skills or building better habits.
We use the phrase took time or it took a while. That just means it didn't happen quickly. It needed some patience.
Yes, a lot of good changes take time. Another word we mentioned was harsh. That means very severe or strict. If someone's harsh with you, they criticize you in a strong, unforgiving way.
Right? And there's a difference between helpful feedback and harsh feedback. One helps you improve, the other just hurts you.
We also used you have someone's back. That means you support them or protect them, correct?
Yes, exactly. If I say I have your back, it means I'll help you if you get into trouble or if you need support.
We said risk. Taking a risk means doing something with an uncertain result. It could be scary, but it also can lead to growth.
Absolutely. Finally, let's explain booed. If an audience boos you, they make a noise to show they dislike your performance.
Yes, boo is that sound people make when they're unhappy with someone on stage. But as we saw, sometimes people do the opposite and cheer instead.
Right? So those were a bunch of useful words and phrases. Listeners, feel free to review them and practice them in sentences.
Exactly. The more you use these words, the more confident you'll feel using English.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of the Boost English podcast. We hope our tips on how to be confident will help you in your personal journey, both in life and in learning English.
Yes, thanks for having me, Olivia. It was a blast sharing these ideas with everyone.
Always a pleasure to have you, Billie. Thank you for joining us. And to our listeners, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, you've got this.
That's right. Keep boosting that English, everyone.
All right, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Boost English podcast. Take care.